I am so excited to be able to say, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to City Skylines, and welcome to a brand new series with a brand new city on a brand new map with the brand new DLC, Plazas and Promenades. In the video description, there will be a bunch of information about this DLC. There will be information about what map we're playing on, and there will be a link to a Steam Workshop collection, which will let you see every single mod that I'm using. It'll let you play along with the same mods that I'm using, and if I add any more mods to this series, I will add them to that collection, which, if you're subscribed to it, will automatically download them and let you play with them as well. Now, of course, Plazas and Promenades is all about pedestrian areas, so that's going to be my goal with the city of Nerdholm. I want to have as many pedestrian zones as I possibly can. I want a proper city center that is pedestrianized. I want pedestrian-only residential zones. I just want to play around with it and see how many pedestrian-only zones I can get my hands on. But before we do that, we have to unlock the pedestrian zones. So, let's begin, as we always do, with a single road, or in this case, a single avenue. Now, I've already gone ahead and built a little entrance to my city. It is just a simple roundabout with 3 avenues coming off, and then two lane one-way roads connecting to the highway. And I've used a little bit of traffic manager here to change the speeds on these roads to 70 kilometers per hour, because I figure traffic going to the highway should get an opportunity to speed up a little bit, and traffic coming off the highway should slow down just a little bit before coming down to 40 kilometers per hour as they hit the roundabout. And then they can go back up to 50 as they hit the avenues. So that's already done, because that's already out of the way. So what we can go ahead and do is go in, get ourselves a road, and what I'm going to do is actually extend this way, because I want to save this area for our first pedestrian zone. I want to have some kind of city center here that looks out over the water. It's all pedestrianized, and it's going to be beautiful. But I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. Let's go ahead and turn off the anarchy down here, tree anarchy specifically, so these trees will delete when I place this road. And we'll go, let's say, you know what, let's say 60 units. And then what we can do is come in here, and I'm going to use the 2-lane road with sidewalks because I kind of like it. And that right there is 12 units. Let's go 10 units right here. So let's see, if I snap to there, can I not go 10 units? Interesting, I think the sizing on this might be off a little bit. Let's just bring this back and do it again and try and do it right this time. So that right there is 60. And then if I go to here, interesting, the sizing is completely off, but I guess this is 10 here. So we'll go 11 units. And then at this end, we're going to do sort of the same thing. So that's 10 right there. We're going to go 11 units. And the reason we're going 11 units is very simple. It's because essentially, if I do this, all of my zoning lines up nicely. We have this entire space filled, and that's what we're looking for. So let's just measure this. It is 60 units. Let's go to the middle, which is 30, and put another road right in there. Let's measure this. It is 30, and then we'll go to 15, which is right here, and we'll place a road, and we'll do the same just here. 15 is, I think, this spot here. It is. And let's just make sure this is on the ground, which it is. So that's going to be our first little zone. Let's just go ahead and mirror that so we can get, well, double the zoning. Now, what I'm hoping for is that this space is going to be residential and commercial. And obviously, we can expand it towards the boundary and we can expand it towards the highway. But I don't want to put industry right amongst all of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure this section, which is 30 units. And I'm going to go and essentially go, well, actually, you know what we should do? We should measure 10 units from here, which is right about there, I believe. We'll go 11, we'll go 11, and then we'll measure from that intersection, which is also going to be 30 units. So I didn't mean to do that. Let's just put that back in there. So this right here is 30, and what we'll do is we'll just come around and fill up all of this space, and essentially we are just going to be building essentially half of what we have over here. So just this chunk right here is what we're building. I believe that's the middle. It should be 15. It is. And this is where we can put our industry, or at least our starter industry. And I think we'll take out that road as well. So this will be industry. This can be commercial and residential. But before we build any of that, we need to get some power and we need to get some water. So let's go and lay some pipes in here, which should be relatively easy. I'm pretty sure the overlap down the central road there will be just enough that we only need to go around the outskirts, which it is. And then over here, we'll do exactly the same thing going around the outskirts. And we'll just connect these guys straight across the middle. And then what I'd like to do is I want to bring a pipe right down to here. And that is where we're going to place our water tower. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, that's a little bit far away. How are you going to power it? Are you just going to run some power lines down the middle? Well, actually, no, I'm not going to run any power lines for almost anything, really, because one of the mods that I'm using allows me to have power transferred via the roads, which I believe is what SimCity 2013 did. So right now, obviously, the water tower has no power, but that's because we don't have any power in the city. So we'll go ahead and place a coal power plant, and I guess we'll put it, I'm going to say right down here for the coal power plant, and we should see this guy end up with a little bit of power in hopefully no time at all, because there we go. Now all of my roads have been electrified, and as long as the power radius, the little blue square you can see there, as long as it overlaps a road, this guy has power. So anything I build over here is going to have power, which is fantastic. And I absolutely adore that. Now, before we get too carried away, let's see. Can I get myself an eco water inland treatment plant? It's $480 per week. It is $4,000 versus $320 per week for the non-eco version, $2,500. Let's just go for the eco version since we might as well. And we'll drop it, I guess, right about there. We'll get it connected to everything right about there. And I believe that means that we're now set up. We should see the other line appear on all of our pipes, I think. There it is, the sort of teal looking one, which means we have water, we have sewage, and we have power. And we're also losing a bunch of money. So let's go ahead and start zoning some stuff here before we start losing all of the money. And what I'm going to do, like I always do, is I'm going to put commercial along the avenue because I think that's sort of where it belongs. And then everything else in here is going to be residential. So all of that is residential. All of this is residential. All of this is residential. And then for this space over here, we'll just make this central part into a bit of industry. And now we just have to wait for it to build. And so just like that, we're at 259 people. For some reason, it's going down a little bit, which is kind of a worry. And my money is getting drastically low, but I think we'll be okay. I don't think we can take loans right now, but we are going to end up with enough people in here that we'll start making money. And we do have people arriving already, which is kind of fantastic. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to come in here and I want to just set up some priorities for my roads. So we're going to shift, control, click on this roundabout to make sure that the lanes and all of the priority signs are set up properly for the roundabout. And then what I'd like to do is go ahead and essentially shift click for this road, which is going to set the road itself as having priority, and the roads at the sides are going to give way to all that traffic. I can also go ahead and control click on this junction to sort of tidy it up a little bit, although that does seem to have ever so slightly messed with it. So let me just undo that. Let me shift click here. And what we'll do instead is control click with the lane arrows. And now we have some dedicated turn lanes, which is fantastic. And we can do the same here. We can do the same here. We can do the same here. And we don't need to do the same right here. So this entire road has give way signs as you approach it. Traffic on the avenue has priority. And then down here, we can do the same thing. So we'll go to the priority signs, shift click right there, and we'll control click each of the intersections to make sure that they are all set up quite nicely. And hopefully, any second now, we're going to start making a little bit of money. We're at minus 111, minus 93, minus 87, minus 64, 67. Oh my God, it's going too fast. And we're making money. So just before we went broke, we started to make a little bit of money. So let's go ahead and let everything build. Let's let the money build a little bit. And I'm pretty sure any second now, we should be able to achieve Little Hamlet, which is 480 people. I can increase taxes. I can get loans. We have garbage and healthcare. And I think we're going to have no problem actually becoming a Little Hamlet. There it is. Okay. So medical clinics are available. Schools are available. And that's all stuff that we're going to need pretty quickly. Unfortunately, we got $20,000. So let's get ourselves... Well, we could. We could, if we wanted to, go and put a landfill in here. But I've got to be honest, I don't like landfills. I just don't. I think they're a total pain because you have to empty the thing before you can move it. So I think what would make sense is just placing a recycling center. Especially this early in the game, I think we can get away with it. So let's go ahead and do some measuring here. I think let's see. So if that's 15, 15, these are all just sections of 15. So if I just go and do a section of 15 right here, and a section of 15 right here, and then connect those guys together, we can bring this avenue straight through, which gives us full zoning. We do need to remember to set up the junction properly, and we do need to remember to, adjust the priorities right there. But what I can do is just place a recycling center. Honestly, I'm thinking right about there is a pretty good spot, or right in the corner. I think right in the corner is quite nice. And, oh, that was expensive. What I might also do is actually turn this road here into one with a median, because it means that my recycling trucks are going to come out to the left, as opposed to crossing over traffic to go to the right. It also means that to get back to the recycling center, they have to come along here and then take this left turn. So I'm actually going to give that a shot and see how that plays out. See if that improves traffic in the long term. Well, I say in the long term. I'm not really planning on keeping any of this long term, but for now, we'll see what that does for our traffic. Oh, now, interestingly, down here at the end, I totally forgot, as I always do, to put some pipes underneath these new roads. Now, I'm pretty sure the mod that allows electricity to be transmitted through the roads, I think it does something with water. I might be misremembering. I don't remember which mod it is, but again, it'll be linked in the video description, so you can find it for yourself down there if you're interested. But I think there was something in that mod about allowing water to go underneath the roads as well. I might be misremembering on that one. I know there were a few options for things that could go underneath roads. I thought water, I thought the other ones, whatever they are, would be a little bit too cheesy. Electricity is nice though, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I could ever go back from electricity underneath the roads. So our next goal is Worthy Village. We need 950 people, and if we can do that, we'll unlock a new area, which is likely going to be the one by the coast. We unlock districts, and I'm curious, does that include pedestrian areas? I don't actually think it does. I'll be quite honest with you. I have no idea when we unlock pedestrian areas, so it might not be today. I'll be completely honest, it might be sort of a next time kind of thing. Don't get me wrong, we're not getting towards the end of this video just yet, we're just getting started, but pedestrian areas might be just a moment before we get there. But for now, we have a little bit of money, so let's go ahead and expand this area that we have right here. And what I'd like to do is go ahead and change this road out for the default 2-lane road so that we can have traffic actually parking on this road, because we do have houses here. Admittedly, the houses do have driveways. So you know what? No, I'm actually going to take that back. We are going to stick with the roads and the sidewalks because I happen to really like them. Now, what we can do is come down here, we'll go 10 units, and we'll go 10 units right here, and we'll just cut straight across. And this time around, I'm only going to connect this central road because I don't want too much traffic Well, actually, this might cause problems with traffic, but we'll see what happens. We'll build down like that, though, and we'll go another 10. We'll go across like this, and this time we will go here, and we'll go here. And essentially what we've done is created probably a choke point. To be quite honest, it's a bit of a bottleneck, so maybe I won't do this. Maybe this is a little bit silly. I do think it is a little bit silly, but you know what? I'm going to commit to it. I'm going to do that, though, just for symmetry's sake. But this, you know what? Actually, no. We're not going to do that. We're going to connect here. We're going to connect here, and we're going to leave that middle bit open. Because honestly, if we do keep this layout long-term, which I'm not planning to, but if we do, this could be a little park in there, and that might be kind of nice. But for the time being, what I want to do is bring some pipes underneath here, along here, and up here, and that'll cover that entire space. And then all of this is just going to be filled with residential zoning. So all of it is going to go like this, and we'll just let that build. And I suppose what I should do is just make sure that all of my traffic is managing to look after itself. So in terms of priorities, I almost wonder if we should create sort of a priority system where this road here is more important than this road here. I don't know if that's such a good idea, but it is, you know, well, no, we'd have to do the same over here as well. Let's just leave it be. Let's not overcomplicate things. We'll just leave things be, and we'll see what happens. All we need to do, all we need to worry about is getting the population to grow. I don't need to overthink things at this stage of City Skylines. Et voila! We are a worthy village. We've unlocked another area. We've got districts and policies. We've got a second loan. We have emergency services, which honestly, we're going to need a firehouse. Because if I remember right, at this stage of City Skylines, this is when the game will probably set something on fire quite intentionally to teach me a lesson. So in terms of getting a firehouse in here, I could put it on the roundabout. I feel like that would be quite silly, though. So let's put the firehouse, I'm going to say right here. I know that's a little bit away from everything, but coverage-wise, I think we'll be okay if I do that. It's not like we have a massive city right now anyway, so we should manage. In terms of policing, though, and in terms of healthcare, all of that's going to have to wait. And education as well, unfortunately, is going to have to wait. But for now, when do I get pedestrian zones? I need 1,500 people. Okay, so we need to be a tiny town before we can get pedestrian areas. Now, that shouldn't be too hard. In fact, I would hazard a guess that the little bit of space down here that we still have to build in, and by that I mean that the houses still have to build in, I reckon that's probably going to be enough. I'm also curious, if I go to districts, do I have the... When do I unlock this? The not the residential wall... Wait, the residential wall-to-wall buildings? Interesting. That's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for, I think, is actually just a district style. So if I go in and I paint a district just like this, I want to see if I can set it to be the mid-century modern houses, because this is a relatively flat space, so it should be okay. And I think just for the sake of being neat, we can paint this as a district as well. Although I'm obviously not going to change the style here because it's just industry. But what I want to look at is middle district, and I want to set it as mid-century modern, which is going to get rid of all of my houses. But to be fair, I think a grid like this is going to make mid-century modern look really, really good. And then while we're waiting for that to rebuild, we can go ahead and fill this space with a whole heap of new industry, with just a small expansion with 3 new squares for Empire Hills. And then I guess this is a bit grim, to be quite honest. We're down to 172 people. I might regret this. Not because I think we're going to go broke, although we might, but because now I have to wait for all of this to rebuild, which is going to take a moment, because that's just how demand in City Skylines works. Oh, I was waiting on this happening. We have a little bit of crime right over here, which is obviously kind of a problem because we don't have a police department. So I realized that the historical police station is actually something that we can get right now. And I'm very tempted because I do really enjoy how it looks. It's a really nice looking little building. I don't know. I guess I could put it right there, or I could put it, well, I could put it anywhere if I really wanted to. I just want to find somewhere that makes sense for it, because it does look a little bit different to all of the buildings that we have. So well, I guess we're placing it there. That was a bit of a misclick, but sure. Historical police station. We'll put it right on that corner. We'll change the cars out for the supercar because I think that's funny. I do think that's funny for a little building like this. And I'm also wondering if I could, well, I don't have access to paths right now or fences. Oh, it does look a little bit strange. It does. No, we're going to get rid of that. We're going to come back to that when we actually have a good space for it. For now, we'll put the normal police station right there. We'll keep the normal police cars. And that looks a little bit more at home, I think. So we have that going. The population has just passed 800 people again. We have all of this space developing really nicely, actually. I really do like how these buildings look when you get them in a nice flat or relatively flat chunk of land, which if you've seen my first look or my everything new in video for Plazas and Promenades, you will have had a little bit of a glimpse at what these buildings can look like on steep slopes, and spoiler, they don't really work. They are fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I love these. I think they look absolutely wonderful. This is a style of architecture that you don't really see in the UK, especially where I live in Northern Ireland. This isn't something we see here at all. So it is really cool, especially as someone that doesn't really see this type of architecture. And there we go. We're a tiny town, which means we have park areas, industry areas, and most importantly, we now have pedestrian areas that we can play with. So let's go ahead and let's buy a new chunk of land, which is this one right here, $3,300. And then, ooh, apparently I can buy more. I'm not going to right now. We don't really need to. But what I am going to do is I'm going to expand this avenue down to, I want to say, right about here is where I want to expand that avenue to. And I want to go ahead and put another roundabout at the end of it. So let's take a look. Ooh, now hold on a minute. We've actually got our hands on the slightly chunkier roads. So let's upgrade the roundabout that we have into a 3-lane roundabout, because that's going to be a little bit better for traffic. And then let's go and remind ourselves to sort out the lanes a little bit on this, because they do need to be set up very specifically like so. And what we can also do is just remind ourselves that the priorities need to be set up. So now this should function a little bit better as a roundabout, and I might want to bring that speed limit up to 50. So the speed limit is, ooh, speed limit actually reset right here. Hold on a second. Let me set you back to 70 and you back to 70. In fact, what if I changed that? What if we said this section was 50, this section was 50, and then we said this section was 60 and this section was 60. So you sort of speed up as you're going towards the highway, and you gradually slow down as you approach the roundabout. That might be interesting. That might be a waste of time. That might be completely unnecessary, but I'm willing to give that a shot. And I'm also willing to build another roundabout. So what size is this across? It's 16. So we want to go to here, and we want to go 8 units like so. And we want to go around with another 8 like so. And another 8 right there. And another 8 right there. And that's going to be a new roundabout. And what we can do is come off this side, let's say 20 units. We'll go off of this side about 20 units. And now what I'm thinking is, how do I want to do this pedestrian area? Because I guess if I just went, say, 20 units here, I could put my service points on either side of this and then surround it with pedestrian roads, which I really like the idea of doing. So I suppose we should just go ahead and place our service points. And what I'm thinking for these is they could go, and I say they because I do think we're going to need 2 of them at the very least. We'll do 1 to start with right here, of course, but we'll need more of them eventually. We can place a service point right here. And then what we can do is get our hands on these pedestrian streets. And I happen to love the sandstone ones. So I think that's what we're going to stick with, although I do, of course, need to bring some water up here to stop this guy from complaining a little bit. And we'll bring some water down here just to make sure that I don't forget to do that in future. And power, interestingly, is also a problem. Yeah, electricity availability is actually getting a little bit low. So let's fix that with a slight bump in budget for electricity. We'll go to 110%. Which is hopefully going to give us, no, production is 43, consumption is 42 to 43. Let's, I guess, take that up to 125%. And that should give us now, well, 124% will do. That should now give us 47 production. Oh, no, you know what? We might just need to crank the, we'll just crank the budget right up to 150%. And that should, hopefully now, solve pretty much all of our problems. At least the immediate problems, because there are plenty more that we're going to run into. Now, when it comes to this space, I think what I want to do is I want to go ahead and I want to have, I'm thinking this sandstone pedestrian street with trees, this large one, and I want it to go back to, I'm going to say about here. And I'm thinking I'm actually going to bring this road back a little bit further as well. So this really is just a service road for this pedestrian area. I think that looks pretty good. I think that's okay. Now, what I'd also like to do is bring a small sandstone pedestrian street over to the left here. We'll go 20 units, and we'll go 20 units this way as well. And then maybe we do the same at the bottom as well. This is a distance of 30. If I go 20 right there, and I go 20 right there, that is going to give us a decent little bit of space to play with when it comes to building, essentially, some kind of city center. Now, I do want this to look good. I do want there to be some nice details in here. What I would really like is to get my hands, I think, on level 3 unique buildings, because if I can do that, I can get the tax office, which would look fantastic. Or, if I go into landmarks and happen to have $20,000, I could put City Hall right there, which might also look pretty good. Or I could also save up for something like a $500,000 cathedral, which would look amazing by the water as well. Although, to be honest, I think City Hall for $20,000, that's a bit of a bargain. Let's go ahead and increase taxes so that we can afford that. We'll go up to, I think I can go to 12%. You can let me know in the comments if I'm wrong on that. I've seen some people say I can go to 13%, but we'll increase them to 12 for now, just so I can get the money to build City Hall. In fact, I think what I'm just going to do, and what I've done, is just take a loan, because, honestly, I don't really take loans in City Skylines, but this seems like a good reason to take one. I think City Hall right there at the end of a pedestrian road looks fantastic. And I'm even tempted to say that we swap out the pedestrian road for one with the trees down the sides, and I do think that looks even better. So that's what we're going to go for. We do, of course, need to get some water down there. So we'll run water around this entire space, just like so. And now that it has water, it also has power. All we need to do is zone that space. And I think the best thing we could do here is go ahead and say that we want commercial like this. We want commercial like this. And I'm going to do commercial across here and across here as well. And I'm going to have a little bit of fun by putting some residential in these spaces. I was going to put them back here, but no, I'm going to put them in these spaces with more commercial in those ones. And in terms of the buildings for this, I'm not really too concerned, to be honest. I don't think we need to go for mid-century modern, but honestly, self-sufficient buildings might be kind of fun. I've got to be honest. I think it would be kind of cool to go for self-sufficient. We could potentially go for organic and local produce here as well, but that might be a bit much. So we'll just go for self-sufficient housing. We'll let this space build, and I'm actually really excited to see what this looks like. And honestly, I really like this. I think these buildings look really interesting back here coming off of pedestrian roads. I don't know if they necessarily match, but I do think the wood paneling, combined with the sandstone is a really, really nice touch. And I think there's maybe a few too many trees, but I don't completely hate it either. Also, looking at this, something tells me we might need to get our hands on a few carports, because we're going to see a lot of traffic coming in here to park to then walk into the city center. That's something I hadn't considered. I'm going to be honest with you. I had not considered that at all. Now, before we wrap things up for today, because we are getting to that point, I do have Move It as one of the mods that I can use, and I want to do a little something with it just so I can make this place a little bit neater. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the city hall, and I'm going to select the nodes across this road right here. And I'm just going to level all of them to this height right here. Because what that does, and what I suppose I could also do, is actually go in and select these guys and set them to be nicely sloped like so. I could select these guys and do the same thing. And that just neatens things up a little bit, actually. I do really like that. The reason I want to have this be as neat as I possibly can is because I do want there to be some flat land at the end here, so I can play around a little bit with the idea of plazas and parks and all that good stuff next to City Hall. And having a bit of land there that is not all that neat, it doesn't really lend itself all that well to parks, plazas, and, well, promenades. Oh, that doesn't necessarily lend itself very well to neat-looking parks, plazas, and promenades either, but we do have a giant fire truck coming through here to put out that fire. It's already put the fire out, and we also have cops coming in here as well. I love seeing the bollards go down like that. That's such a cool touch. And we have a delivery vehicle coming in here as well. Oh, it's so good. I really love that. That is such a cool little detail of this expansion. I really, really adore that. We also have a massive amount of residential demand and a need for better garbage disposal. So we have our work cut out for us, but that's all going to be stuff we can deal with in the next episode and the episodes beyond that, because that is going to do us for today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.